Breaking news update in one of Nashville's unsolved murder mysteries is Metro Police search a property in Hickman County in the disappearance of Tabitha Tuders. Teenager vanished, literally without a trace, heading to a school bus stop near her home in East Nashville 17 years ago. Today's search site is a very remote location in Hickman County. And Fox 17 News' Rachel Teedy is live there at the scene near Bon Aqua, where crews promised to continue searching for evidence all week.
Yeah, this is back Piney Road outside of Bon Aqua, Tennessee, and the scene here, we are not able to go past this gate, but we've seen people go in and out of here all day long, and they say that this is something that could continue for several days this week.
We never have anything happen out here. It's so quiet.
Along a rural road in Hickman County, police, FBI, and search and rescue teams worked Wednesday to try and find evidence of Tabitha Tuders. Back in 2003, Tabitha was 13 when she was walking to her bus stop in East Nashville, only to vanish and never be heard from again. There's been search after search, and today, neighbors were shocked to see the search happening next door.
I hope that they find out something about that little girl because she's been missing for so long.
Police say this property is 6 acres, heavily wooded, with a small house that's been empty for some time. It was a mixture of new information and old tips that brought them here today. The supervisor of the cold case unit here today said Tabitha may have been here shortly after her disappearance.
We've looked long and far, and we'll continue to look to wherever it takes us.
This case has spanned across the country, even leading to Las Vegas. And over the past 17 years, her family says they've never given up hope. Her parents didn't want to do an interview today, but did send us a statement saying every day we pray for answers in Tabitha's case. Today is no different. We appreciate the work law enforcement agencies are doing to try and find her after 17 long years. Police say they plan to be back again tomorrow, but it could take much longer than that.
The police department wants them to know that we're willing to do whatever it takes, and we're not going to rest until we find her.
I hope her parents can have some closure for what they've had to go through all these years.
If you have information about Tabitha's disappearance, you are asked to call a couple of different numbers. The first one on your screen is the Nashville Crime Stoppers. The second number is the FBI. There is a $50,000 reward for information that leads to Tabitha or to the people involved in her disappearance.
Some state lawmakers are now criticizing Governor Lee for allowing contact sports this fall, as several high school athletes across the state are very publicly testing positive for COVID-19. Some question exactly how activities can really get off to a safe start when some of these players are already infected. Fox 17 News' Kathleen Surrey is live in Nashville now with the details on that. Kathleen?
Well, Scott, sports are such a big part of our culture, especially when we're talking about students who are still in school. Governor Lee says it's important that we still give them the opportunity to safely participate this fall, but others say that canceling the season would be a temporary sacrifice to better protect our communities. Yesterday, the Tennessee Senate Democrats' Twitter account started a thread detailing several athletes across the state who have already tested positive for COVID-19. These sports include football, basketball, and volleyball.
It doesn't quite follow logic to allow contact sports.
State Senator Ramesh Akbari is on the Education Committee.
They're not going to be wearing masks, of course, so you'll have a lot of breathing and exchanging of respiratory fluids in each other's spaces. It's really concerning.
She says starting contact sports this fall could put students, coaches, faculty, and entire communities at risk of catching COVID-19.
There's been a lot of information out, particularly from our medical community, whether we're talking about doctors or hospitals, where they're saying, hey, we're not in a position where it's safe for us to have these type of contact sports.
We reached out to Governor Lee's office to find out how these activities can begin safely if players are already infected. We didn't get a response, but this is what he had to say about his decision at the end of July when he was explaining his plans to reopen schools.
It's an important part of our community athletics, and it provides a lot of benefits to our student athletes. But however, we have to remember common sense precautions have to be taken in the midst of COVID-19 in order for any return to play to actually make it through the season.
The Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association has modified their sports regulations, including temperature check requirements, proper screening questions to gauge any symptoms, and limiting fans to allow for social distancing. Now, Fox 17 News also reached out to the TSSAA for comment on this story with no response back.
Thank you, Rachel. In the fight for equality tonight, one field that is hugely lacking in diversity is the tech field. Now, 2 local men are trying to change that by starting a school that would recruit minorities specifically to transition them to tech careers. Fox 17 News' Kathleen Jacob in East Nashville tonight with their story.
One of the things that we've heard from a lot of companies and departments is that it can be really hard to actually find minorities who also qualify for some of these roles. But this new school, Pivot Technology School, really wants to take away that barrier. It's a 20-week program that basically acts as a boot camp teaching data analytics, web development, and cybersecurity. Worldwide, only about 3% of the tech field is made up of people of color. And a quick look at Nashville data shows it's about 14% in Metro. Pivot Technology School President Quan Clark says the main reason is lack of exposure of this field to minorities. Many people just don't know it's an option, and a high-paying option at that, because it just isn't something that they've seen in their close circles. Another thing he mentioned is the need to get young minority kids involved.
A lot of our kids are just not exposed and just don't see anybody that looks like them, so they're just not aware that it's something that they can partake in.
The goal is to create a pipeline for minority candidates for these tech roles in big companies or cities. We reached out to Metro to see if this is something that they'd consider to include more minorities. We did not hear back by the time that this story is running. So far, they've had 30 people go through this program, and they have another 40 that are signed up to start August 25th. However, there are still open spots. If you're interested in any information regarding cost or sponsorships, head to our website, fox17.com.